Sisters of Silence is the most useless topic whenever being discussed, or the useless unit when I have to hear about this. Greetings, brothers, and welcome to another video. So today, we're going to be talking about the Sisters of Silence. Now, of course, as a unit that they are, which are featured with the Custodians, they are neat. Yes, a unit, because they're an army unit of the Custodes, which tends to be of them running a 5-man squad with a rhino. The main problem I want to hit is that how people want to use that unit when it comes to the controversies or subjects when a faction gets a release. Or, of course, with the main fresh controversy that hopefully people remember is the Custodes. If you don't know about the Custodes as you just got out of your mom's womb, then take a seat and I'll explain a little bit of a brief detail. So, you know what's more annoying with this video? It's this.
You can't escape me!
Welcome to the Hoppeldas Legion, motherfucker! I have a long range of options for you guys you can support me in. Patreon, Ko-Fi, and YouTube memberships. And from your support, it will make me more committed to do more videos. There's my stuff. They're in the video descriptions or my main channel. Might as well join the cause and be part of the Legion, brother. And to wipe off the degeneracy off this planet. That is all for this advertisement. Even though you skipped it, you fucking heretic. And now, let's get back to the video. The Custodes during the 10th edition is being started when the Custodes of 10th edition got out. That was a short story and talking about how the Custodes was playing the blood games and he was have a fucking nuke just entered into the palace just so easily just because she's that good. And of course, when people saw the codex and then got word of it, most people got mad, or the Buttermilk Bobs finally got their degenerate fantasy where they're like, oh yeah, my pretty, sweet, dominant woman. The problem with it was for the last 30 years of the codexes that is showing that they were brothers. And without having any build-up or a warning, GW and Black Library authors just shoehorned it in it, like it's 8th edition again, and they just put it into the codex like to make it as a thing. It was theorized it was because of Amazon was just pushing this idea because they have like a DEI checklist and telling GW they need something that they want because of the Henry Cavill show that is coming up. But let's be honest with this one. Games Workshop and Amazon that push a certain message, they think the exact same thing. Like, they would suck each other off if they wanted to. Like, it wouldn't make sense if GW was making Amazon as the scapegoat or an excuse to do so, thus they can add Custodes. So they don't get the backlash, but Amazon does because they forced us to do it. Even though we said deliberately in Warhammer 40k, which is Warhammers for everyone, we can do whatever we want, we can diversify anyone we want, and if you don't like it, you won't be missed. And after that certain question asked on Twitter as well, and someone was asking, you know, when did the Custodes become a thing? Yep, and then the reply came in, which is purely gaslighting at this point, but hey, they added in, and they were like, yeah, Custodes always existed since the last 10,000 years, and it got even worse. And what's even more funny with that is, after a week of that whole controversy, GW announced that they were doing their price rise on the models unintentionally. Maybe, most likely unintentionally, but it was so funny that they did that after that. I was like, damn, it could be worse than that, am I right? That is roughly most of the story of Custodes, and now some people say, oh, you know, Custodes is not canon, I don't accept it and all that, even though they have an animation, they have a codex that is being really saying that it's being official. Models are very irrelevant at this point. They're in the lore. They're official. Then again, 40k is not canon. But for the sake of argument, though. So, 40k fans try to argue things that was very common back then, during that Custodes era, and it was all about like, you know, oh, they could have done more stuff with Sisters of Battle and the Sisters of Silence. Now, Sisters of Battle, let's be real with this one. They are more of a meme faction that gets slapped across by Spaceballs with ease. Like, why would you put the weakest gender against the strongest Marine? Now, it's insane to me to think of that as the case when you put logic into it, but fuck it, we'll just throw it out of the window. Now, for the Sisters of Silence, is like more of, what about them? Like, honestly, nobody cares about them until it became convenient to mention them for a controversy like this, or when there's a product coming out and that doesn't bring them in for some reason. So people are just like, oh, what about the Sisters of Silence? I could do more of them. What about them? Like, they're not a faction, they're a unit of the Custodians. What more are they gonna do? Like, I understand these types of arguments, but when you break it down, you will understand it becomes more irrelevant than what people think it is the case. Like the Sisters of Silence, that is already a unit and not a faction as part of the Custodes, and also, what more you gotta expand on their units? It's just a small squad of blanks that are meant to blend in with the Custodians against psychic abilities. That's it. That's it. That's all it is. Like, what more you gonna do? Oh, let's put them in the fucking mech where they shoot fucking anti-psychic orbs. At that point, that becomes silly. Well, like, what more you gonna do with blanks? So when I hear like, oh, they should do more Sisters of Silence, I'm the exact opposite where I'm like, no, they shouldn't, because you either ruin the unit to the point that are not what they are, and what else are you gonna be doing with the Sisters of Silence? You gotta have to think on the GW business-wise as well. They won't sell well by themselves. But then again, it's a misunderstanding that Sisters of Battle are a faction and not a unit of the Custodes. Like, to bring another point as well, as I've mentioned before, which won't relate to the Sisters of Battle, but it's more related since it's very common. What you allow is what you get. In other words, what you tolerate is what you shall receive. If it's all not already obvious in today's 40k, women have been more presented more in 40k that they've become the norm than the exception. Which that's where you see female guard more, and then a little bit with Mechanicus to a certain extent, and it makes more sense a little bit on that. But then again, it goes back to the intention behind it, that it comes from Black Laria authors, then comes with Dark Eldar, and more of course. But some come into the story, they have no flavor into the story or bring nothing to the story other than being a fucking boss bitch. And some of them are intentionally ugly. Now the question is, oh, why did this all happen and all that? Well, it's because of fans back in 8th edition and probably before that, and it all comes to the boiling frog syndrome. You do not notice the problem until it's too late. See women in the guard, oh, it's not an issue, so what's the big deal? I don't see the issue. And then give it a couple years later, the more they add them in, then later, we have femstodes. This is unacceptable. Women can be in the Custodes and etc. You know how this goes. They allowed something, and it happened. And then they're just acting so surprised that that happened. Again, it all starts with small subtle things. People don't realize it until it's too late. What you allow is what you get. What you tolerate is what you deserve in the end. And don't be so surprised that it happens with that, and then maybe even worse more later in the future. I've already gone through this topic about the female god and how they're more of the exception than the norm, and how what you allow is what you get, and I've already made a video about that. Multiple videos, to be exact. And of course, it's easy to put in GW as well with this wokeness, where they've made a clear statement from Warhammer's For Everyone statement. And look, if they can find something to abuse, like aka like showing even more women in the future books, they will fucking abuse it. They will do more. Because remember, we will diversify and add whatever we want in anywhere else, and if you don't like it, you won't be missed. I mean, it's quite obvious when GW pushes something and fans allow it to happen or tolerate it, then they will push it even more. It's the saying, if they can find something to abuse it, then they will abuse it. And I think I've said enough on this one, so I think I'll end it here on this video. Sisters of Battle ain't bad of a unit. I have no issue with them. But when people try to drag them into a controversy when it's convenient, be like, oh, what's the Sisters of Battle and the Sisters of Silence and all that? To a certain extent, it becomes irrelevant when you look more into it. Like, I mean, Sisters of Battle is just bitches with big swords, and they have anti-psyker shit where they can merge well together with Custodians, and Custodians are already good as it is. So at that point, it's just really pointless to even say, oh, what more can they add in? Dude, they're already a perfect fucking build-up. What more do you need? Like, it gets quite unnecessary since there ain't a faction, and even if you want to add more to them, they won't sell well. Like, what else you gotta add into them since there will just be gnolls with swords that works with Custodes, and that's it. That's really it. Like, you don't need to add more to them, really, since Custodians have a big variety based on what they can do. That's all it is. But to bring them in controversies where people don't really understand what their Sisters of Battle are or Sisters of Silence are, they just come in and they're just like, oh, what about this? What about that? What about that? Without looking in any further detail. Anyways, that is all for this video. You can check me on Ko-Fi, Patreon, and YouTube memberships. You can check me on Discord or YouTube community page, or now it's called Post for some reason. It's really fucking dumb. But hey, whatever, it's there if you want to check any updates. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Goodbye, my brothers, and take care.
Rise up in the morning sun.